what is your book of the moment? So what book right now are you like, oh my God, this is the shit. I recommend it. I love it. Maybe you've learned something or it's inspired you, or you're just like loving the world that it's set in, whatever. You get the point.
I get the point. The book I'm going to recommend, and I did bring it here with me to show our lovely watchers on YouTube, is Take Off Your Pants by Libby Hawker. Because this book is not a fiction book. This book is...
It's not erotica.
It's not erotica. It's not actually about anyone taking off physical pants, I promise. The title comes from the debate of being a pantser or a plotter, and that's where Take Off Your Pants comes from, because Libby's encouraging you to not be a pantser, to not write or fly by the seat of your pants, but instead to outline and to, analyze what you're actually putting into the story. So as our Facebook group members will know, I recently finished the first draft of my first novel. Woo-hoo! And so thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to go through and read some good books like this and just make sure I'm making that first book as good as I can be. So this book I've read before, but now I'm reading it again and it feels a lot more relevant because I actually have a book to think about now. And I mean, I'm only 40 pages in and I've already made 3 or 4 pages of notes in my notebook about stuff I need to do. Some of it's just to remind me, but a lot of it is going, oh yeah, I've got this, I've got that. And even if it's stuff I'm not necessarily adding to the book, it's stuff where I've gone, actually, I have done this part already, or just recognizing the pieces I've already got in place and knowing actually what they are and how they impact the story and how I can make them stronger and how I can make the story, well, like I say, as good as it can be. So I would definitely recommend this book.
I really enjoyed that book as well. I read it a few years ago now, and it definitely changed how I saw structuring a story in the very best of ways. And since then, I've definitely fell down a much deeper rabbit hole in terms of outlining books.
You recommended that to me actually years ago.
Did I? That doesn't surprise me.
It was not long after we became friends all those years ago. You recommended it to me then, and I read it, and I was like, this is amazing. And I made so many notes about what I was working on at the time, but then obviously I moved on. I never actually fully went into that project. So what would you recommend then? What is your book of the moment, Christina?
My book, I don't have a copy of it to show off. I'll put it on the screen for YouTube people here. No, it goes that side. My book is 13 Steps to Evil, How to Craft Super Bad Villains by Sacha Black. And I recently finished reading this. Well, it was quite late at night, but I was going through the last chapter, and the last chapter is on the climax of your book. And she talks about like the ways to be evil to your protagonist, because generally speaking, in the climax, the protagonist either wins or dies, basically, right? But either way, your villain has to lose because that's the nature of a story. And she was talking about the ways to do it and how to milk it, I guess. And it made me think, oh my God, I need to be more evil. I need to push this harder. I need to push my characters further. And I wrote that scene this morning. And I was nearly crying writing this scene. I'm not even joking, because it was so emotional. Like, it just had that much of an effect on me, because obviously I'm really attached to the characters from Afterlife Calls. And this scene that I'm talking about is the culmination of the entire 4-book arc. It won't be the last book in the series, but it's the last book in this kind of arc with this one particular villain. And I am like gagging to tell people about what happens in this scene. Like, I tell you everything about what's going to happen in my books, don't I, Ellie?
You do, and you are refusing to tell me what happens, and I'm very excited to read it. I'm going to need you to send it me now.
I can't send it now. It still needs editing, but I do think you'll have it by the time this episode goes out.
I'm quite impressed, though. I mean, I didn't think there would be anything out there, book or otherwise, that would help you, the queen of torturing your characters, want to torture your characters even more. So, I mean, that just bumps it up, in my opinion, straight away.
I think the thing is, I had the original version of this scene and I really liked it. And then I realized that I had to change it to tie it in with some stuff that happened earlier in the series. But I didn't want to rewrite the scene because I was like, oh, I really like what I've already got. I don't want to do it. And I'm really glad that I read this book before editing this scene, because it made me realize that I can include the stuff that I've already got, reference the stuff that's already happened, and push my characters even further. So it is the most action-packed, dramatic, emotional climax I've ever written for a book, complete with a tiny bit of comedy and a little bit of romance. So it's literally got all the things that I love about books and stories and films and stuff in one quite long scene.
That's perfect. And it drills home that message again that we always talk about, that I mention all the time, is that you never stop learning. You know, you are 16 books in and you're still going out, expanding your knowledge, reading other people's work and reading other people's advice to make your work as good as possible. And I think that's a good thing for our listeners to remember.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that I actually enjoy the most about writing is the fact that there is always something new to learn, whether you're writing blog posts and trying to keep up with the search engines and what people are engaged with on social media, or writing books and keeping on top of trends, or looking for new ways to challenge yourself or want to try a different genre or whatever. There is always something. And for me, that's the fun of it.
Yes, that's one of the reasons I decided I had to get into writing, or that I could get into writing, should I say, was because it is a learned skill and you can get better, and you will get better if you keep going.